Witch Life podcast. It is Sunshine, the pink-haired sober witch, and yeah. So I went to go record this lovely podcast on Monday, and in case you didn't know, I mean it's October 22nd right now, and in case you didn't know, there was this gigantic technology outage that impacted a whole ton of sites. Including what I use to go ahead and record and live stream and all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, what I would have, what I'm going to share is probably not going to be the same. How I would have delivered it might be a little bit different. Today, we're going to be talking all about, right? So, as I said, it's October 22nd. So, we are less than, definitely less than 2 weeks, almost just a week away from Samhain or Halloween. And man, this time of the year always asks for me to slow down, which is like wild to say because it's also the season of the witch. So this year is the first year in a number of years where I haven't had events pretty much built out every single weekend, meaning I was like hired doing different events, doing different shows. The book tour in and of itself has kind of wrapped itself up. And it's the first time, you know, that I've kind of settled before Halloween sets in. And I don't know if it's just that or what, but not only does this time of the year ask me to slow down, I feel like the brakes have been pulled on me, right? I'm watching and for those of you that are listening, around this time of the year, you're probably also noticing the sun is setting earlier. It's coming up later. Those nights are getting a little bit longer, right? And this is very intentional. I mean, the nature has this intention of encouraging us to let go of that light that lingers in the day and to start to use these darker times of the year very intentionally, right? So this is always the time of the year where I start to do a lot of deep reflection. And I don't think it's a coincidence that my sobriety date is around this time. So this reflection started early. 6 years, the beginning of this month is what I walked into, 6 years in recovery. And I've been doing a lot of reflection of what has changed, what has shifted, what is different, how I've grown, how the people around me have grown or not grown, right? And that's over the course of the last 6 years. But I've also had this realization that I've been in recovery since I stepped out of an abusive marriage 10 years ago. And so, with all of this deep reflection of these years past, I'm also taking a look at this past year, right? We're approaching the last and the final harvest, which is Halloween or Samhain. And so it's at this point that we look at all of the things that we may have expected. What did I not finish? What seeds did I plant that have not sprouted or didn't sprout in ways that I intended? And there's a lot of mourning and a lot of grief, right? So not only does Halloween and Samhain become the time of the year where we can mourn the souls that have crossed over, right? Especially any of them that have been taken by addiction. This season also allows us to reflect and mourn anything in life that we have lost. Maybe not even just from this year, but even the years before, right? And you get to do so without any type of apology. Recovering includes this aspect of remembering, right? And this reflection is all of these memories that start to come up. And I've had conversations about it with a handful of folks. And I've talked about how my recovery has led me here and the things that I have learned and the things even still that I'm holding on to and I'm being called to let go of. It's been a heavy, heavy last week or so, right? I've been incredibly tender. I have found that tears are close to the surface. And in ways not where I'm hesitating to cry, but in ways that I just don't quite know or understand how to let them go. And twice now, as I've spoken to people that are close to me, they know some of the shifts and the changes that are going on, including the introduction and the birth of the sovereign phoenix, including letting go of, my former life and some of the other business endeavors that I've done. And they've been optimistic and then have encouraged me to think about all the new things. With when things end, it opens the door for new things. And I've asked them so graciously, please, please, do not rush me through this grief. It needs to be honored. It needs to be respected. I made the decision this month to shut down the business that I first started in 2017 so that I can focus wholeheartedly on the nonprofit. And I started that business when I was still in active addiction, and I started that business when I was in a relationship with my previous partner who's died from addiction. And so that in and of itself has just brought up a lot of memories. I've had a lot of things that I've tried to accomplish in that business that where I once set out with the full-fledged vision and an idea of what it may look like, I'm having to realize is not what it is, and nor is it what it will ever be. So the grief is heavy. And realizing that I have to face the truth that still my life, even though as wonderful, magical, and amazing as it is, and how in love with it I am, there are still bits and pieces of it that aren't where I thought I would be. And I'm trusting that Spirit has me everywhere that I'm supposed to be. It's taken me exactly where it is, but I'm choosing not to rush through the grief. And this time of the year is what allows me the best opportunity to honor it. I was thinking this past week as well about how this holiday, this time of the year of Samhain, for me, once upon a time, used to also mark the beginning of this very chaotic holiday season. A season that was very ripe and filled with a lot of drinking, right? As the nights became longer, became more justifiable to start drinking a little earlier. And I was thinking about how this is so counter to how nature truly wants us to be. These nights get longer to give us more opportunity to reflect, to go quiet, to sit in the darkness, right? Especially between Samhain and Yule. Yet here we are, counter to that, rushing around, accepting invitations, gathering with friends, gathering with family, right? Often putting on a mask and feeling like we have to do all of these things. It's only in recovery that I've realized I don't have to do any of them. I don't have to put that kind of pressure on myself if it's not what I like to do. In fact, the 2 months that exist pretty much between, it's almost 2 months between Samhain and Yule, to me are the quietest times of the year. I give myself the permission that I need to pause. What have I learned? Where have I tended to things? Where have I not? Where have I betrayed myself? Where did I choose peace? Where did I fall? victim to the chaos that can sometimes swallow us whole. So I try not to step into that once upon a time of the holidays, which, like I said, often started with Samhain and Halloween. It's so counter to the culture that we live in because this culture says bigger, says faster, says more, says be busy, go out and buy. And yet inside, I want smaller and slower. I want blankets and fires. I want to cuddle and sleep later and longer. I don't know that I would have had the courage before I stepped into recovery to accept those things and to take them on as a part of my own healing journey. I don't feel bad anymore for saying no. I really don't. I think it takes courage for us to say yes, to turn inwards, to know what we truly desire and what we like. Courage to be with the grief rather than running from it. For those of you that are aware, not only do I do this podcast, I have a radio show. And so a lot of times I put together that playlist a good week ahead of time, but I had fallen, right? We'd had some weeks off. And so this week, in this feeling that I have right now, I was called to put together this Friday's playlist. And I realized I'm going to use it as a way to honor how I'm feeling because this grief, this sadness, this sorrow is not an enemy to my recovery or to me feeling better. It's me acknowledging that I'm a human and this is a part of life. It's me recognizing and seeing the version of myself that once upon a time thought I had to be perfect. The one that used to drink to quiet the shame and that roar in my nervous system. It's this grief that allows me to sit with that other version of myself and know she served a purpose in my life. I don't hesitate to cry anymore when I can. I allow the tears to fall and these waves of like somatic feelings to be present in my body, the heaviness, the slowness, because as I said, it's felt heavy. And there's a part of me that once upon a time even would have even turned to caffeine. But even that I've kind of let go. I'm allowing myself to feel exactly what I need to feel right now and trying my hardest to give it the respect and the love that it deserves. And I used to be so afraid of this. I was so afraid of feeling, so afraid of just being present in my emotions and just so unpracticed at it. I didn't used to show it to anyone. This time of the year, again, is this moment, this opportunity, this chance for us to truly remember all of these things about ourselves, to remember why it is that we quit, why it is that we stepped out, to grieve who we once were, to thank all of our ancestors and our guides and anything on the other side that has just guided us and protected us along the way, and probably watched in horror in some ways of the things that we've done, right? It's our time to be able to remember that in order for us to forgive other people in our lives, we have to forgive first what we've done to ourselves, you know? And it's a reminder, again, that we don't have to do any of this alone, you know? Once upon a time, I used to take so much pride in my independence, that I could handle anything, that I didn't need anyone. Yeah, it's so untrue now. And the beautiful thing about this time of the year again, between now and that time at Yule is like there is no rush to try to figure it all out in one day. Like you have some time and space. You may be feeling the energetics start to shift and to beg you to pay attention to it now. And I'm just encouraging you to do so, but don't think that you have to do it overnight. It may creep in the slightest moment. Just recognize it and acknowledge it and kind of tip your hat to it and say, I see you. Yeah. So many of us witches absolutely love the holiday of Samhain and Halloween, right? Because it is the season of the witch. But for me, I love Yule. That is my favorite. And that is because of what it represents. It is the moment that we get to call that light back in. And until that time happens, though, I trust that this darkness has a reason and has a purpose. I'm going to say it again because it's so important for you to hear this. In these coming months, in these coming days and weeks, as we're in this darker part of the year, if things do not feel aligned, it is not selfish to choose you. It's not selfish to be still. It is not selfish to be quiet. If it's too loud around other people, do not hesitate to walk into another room. And for those of you that are early in recovery, if alcohol threatens your peace, you don't have to go and you can leave. Your recovery, your peace, your love of yourself, your feelings of being worthy is sacred. And it's up to you and only you to protect that. Protect it like it's a promise you've made to your own soul, because you have. Hmm. I will, of course, hopefully, not be in such a somber or solemn mood during the next podcast, or maybe I will. Who knows, right? I don't rush these things. But in the meantime, I hope that some of this has given you something to ponder. I hope that you take advantage of this time of the year. And I hope that you enjoy the darkness for what it can bring when you allow it to be the healing that it's meant to be. Until next time, my dear friends, much love from me to all of you.